G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. So I just did an entire intro and a whole bunch of filming in slow motion. So this is now take 2, but we are in the Tesla. We are about to hit the road on the way to Melbourne. I do not watch any kind of news, so it was absolutely news to me at 5 o'clock yesterday when everyone at work said, how are you going to Melbourne when New South Wales is flooded? And I said, I don't fucking know. I didn't know it was flooded. So normally I go the coastal way. Every year, every time I drive to Melbourne, I go that way because they finally fixed it and there's minimal roadworks. You can bypass Sydney and it's twin lanes the whole way, so autopilot just works awesome. I used to always go inland via Coonabarabran, Dubbo, Parks, all that sort of stuff. When obviously all the mid-north coast parts of the Pacific Highway were getting modified and roadworks everywhere. So anyway, so a little bit stressed overnight about how to get there. Checked all the warnings this morning. It's still all closed. So if we punch into the GPS where I'm going, so if we punch it into Tesla's GPS, it seems to think we want to go this way, but it is definitely flooded. Where are we? Through here, Kupanook. It's flooded all through here. Roads are inaccessible. It's also flooded just here as well, I believe. That's flooded, and possibly through here. So we're definitely not going to go that way. So I'm just going to type in Dubbo and aim that way. So it seems to think I'm offline. No, Dubbo. So we'll see what way that ends up wanting me to go, because that'll get me around most of it. Wants to stop at Toowoomba and then Narrabri, so I'll probably charge a little bit longer at Toowoomba than what it wants me to. Just so Narrabri says 10%, I don't really want to trust it out that way. So we'll hit the road and see how we go. This video may not ever see the light of day, but I was sort of stressing out about making a video and going a different way and all that sort of stuff. But I kind of figured that if something exciting happens or whatever, at least this is a different way of going than the normal way. So a little bit more info for other Tesla owners about going Brisbane to Melbourne via the inland way and sort of how that works with charging and all that sort of stuff. So let's hit the road before Mercedes absolutely loses it, because I've been sitting here for 15 minutes filming multiple intros now, and let's get underway. First up, good old Hungry Jack's breakfast. Definitely the kings of the breakfast drive-through game. Old Stinkus McGee here is just absolutely not got the patience for any of this, but little does she know she's about to get some hash brown. You about to get some hash brown, Mercedes? She's deaf, so she has no idea what I'm saying. So yeah, obviously definitely forgot to reset trip meter A, so I'll do that now. But basically charged where I left home, so 154 watt hours per kilometre to get here, 150 Ks, and we're at 67%. So it says to charge 4 minutes and we'll get to Narrabri with 4%. So I'm actually going to charge a lot more than that, because I don't really want to run it that low in the middle of nowhere. So we're gonna plug in now and probably charge back up to like 80+%, and then hit the road. Gonna take old Stinky Poo for a walk. That thing, the bloody dog that's losing it, because every time I slow down she thinks we're stopping, and I slowed down about 50 times, so she's losing it. Well, one good thing that they've got here at this golf club is free membership for Tesla owners while charging. So if you're here charging, you are welcome to go into the golf club and use the facilities. So that's always handy. So I might take them up on that and go use their toilet, because I can't just pee all over the grass like someone. Right, so was here for about 15 minutes. Charged up to 86%, so that'll get me to Narrabri. Charged up to 86%, so that'll get me to Narrabri with 22% left, which is a bit nicer than 4% or whatever it said before. So it's 440 Ks, so that doesn't seem accurate, but we'll see how this goes. Hopefully we don't break down anywhere, but let's go. Finally, I've something going on. Traffic coming from the other way. Literally sat here for probably 10 minutes, not moving. Stopped for a pee break at Waiaga. The ground was literally pure bindies, so Merc got about 100 bindies in her feet. So I had to bloody pluck all them out and stick her back in the car. Anyway, I'll show you what this freaking Tesla thing's doing. So obviously it thought we would make it to Narrabri. I was pretty doubtful. Anyway, there's a bulldog about to get bindies all over its feet. Anyway, 292 Ks till we get there, and I've got 318 Ks of range, so that's cutting it pretty freaking tight. So what I'm actually going to do is stop in Goondiwindi, which is coming up. I think we're about 80 Ks, 60 Ks from Goondiwindi. I think there's a Eureka charger there. I think that's Goondiwindi there. Yeah, there's a Eureka charger here in Goondiwindi. So Tesla obviously only shows you, like, you know, whichever ones are on their network. They don't show the Eureka ones. So it says that there's nothing till Narrabri, but I looked on plug share and stuff, there's definitely a Eureka one there. So I'll stop in at the Eureka and chuck about 10 minutes charge in. We'll probably pick up there. So we've got a big Eureka Charge Fox station. Let's go that way because that's where my port is. I don't have the RFID card, but I have the app, so hopefully that lets me charge. Well, that was lucky. My credit card had expired and I was able to update my details and start charging. So yeah, obviously made it to Goondiwindi. So going to take the dog for a quick walk while we charge. It is a fucking beautiful day in Goondiwindi. So far, other than all the fucking roadworks, this has been not too bad of a drive. Yeah, it's a lot of stop-start from all the roadworks between wherever the frick Toowoomba and Goondiwindi. So other than that, hopefully everything goes swell. Going to grab some lunch after this. It is about 1:40, so charge for about 10-15 minutes. Then grab some lunch and then on to Narrabri. Of course, managed to find another patch of bindies here. I'm tripped over, face planted because their feet hurt. Quit stepping in bindies, you stooge. Having a blip, blip, blip. Right, so we're about 63%. I think we're 48%, 45% roughly when we got here. Looks like we're gonna hit Narrabri with 22% now. It said like 8% or something when I pulled up here. So yeah, Narrabri is 220 k's away now, and we'll have 340 k's of range. So we'll have plenty of range to actually get there. Before there was only about a 20k overlap, which I would not trust for the next 2.5 hours. At least this way is now 120 k's of overlap. So I'm pretty confident we'll make it. Let's go to Red Rooster, get some lunch, and back on the road. So I made it to Narrabri. I've been doing a terrible job at showing the energy usage, so just gonna show you what it was from the last stop till now, which was Goondiwindi to Narrabri. So averaged 145 watt hours per kilometre over 230 k's. It was 129 watt hours per kilometre from Toowoomba to Goondiwindi, so it was actually really good on like economy that way. Obviously going to charge up now. Next stop is Dubbo by the looks of things. So I think we got a charge here for 19 minutes, which will get us to Dubbo. 19 minutes at 20% should get us to like 60 or 70% or something. So may even top off to 80% just in case I want to end up having like a nap or something on the way. I have been getting a little bit tired. Yeah, anyway, awesome oval and stuff here. So massive driver reviver area. It's a shit car park, but it's really nice area to walk a dog and stuff. So gonna go for a fang and charge, and we'll let you know when we leave. Fucking bindies fucking everywhere lately. Everywhere I stop, there's fucking bindies. So also bindies in here. Fucking dogs. So overall, Narrabri is quite nice. Been walking around, public toilets, nice and clean. There's also a KFC and a Macca's nearby, a Woolies, a Subway, so awesome place to stop. So far this would be on par with anywhere on the Pacific Highway, but Goondiwindi definitely lacks what most of the Pacific Highway stops have, which is like good food and like places to walk around and stuff. Still better than fucking Albury. But yeah, anyway, time to hit the road.
Time to hit the road.
We're at 74% and we'll get there with 18. It's 260 k's, but we have 390 k's still empty, so I'm not so sure that this 18% is accurate. It's probably because my current trip is saying I'm using a full load of energy because I'm just sitting around. So once we hit the road, we'll see what that does. Right, so I made it to Dubbo. What I found on that was initially when I left the last place, can't even remember what it was, Narrabri, I was doing 110 in the 110 zone, and my projected range when arriving was just dropping rapidly. It was, I had like 100 and something Ks. At one point it was like 80 Ks. It dropped down to 80 Ks difference rather than like 140 or whatever it was. Dropped the speed from 110 to 100 and it started climbing again. So I remember on the very first time I drove to Melbourne, it was about this time of night, like between 8 PM and 2 AM or something around then. And the range just dropped really fast and we were in the middle of nowhere. We're like near Holbrook. We only just made it to the charger. So what I'm gonna do when I am punching through the night is I'm gonna stick to 100 instead of 110, even if I can do 110 legally, just so that I don't end up getting caught out with range going funny, because it was about 8 degrees for that whole stint. So it was chewing through battery a little bit faster than I thought. So did 264 Ks at 151 watt hours per kilometre. So the average is quite high on that one. It was sitting at like 170 when I was doing 110 Ks an hour. Once I dropped it to 100, it started dropping slowly. So the this rig was, so like that was the 110, then I dropped it to 100, it started going green again. It ended up just coming a little bit yellow, but anyway. We were originally expected to make it here with 22%. At one point it was dropping like 12%. And so that's when I slowed right down. So anyway, made it. We'll pump some juice in and probably hit the road a little bit. Probably give it another hour or so and then pull up stumps and have a bit of a snooze. So the Dubbo show is on as well, I think. So I don't know if I got some GoPro footage of the, it was like a big Ferris wheel lit up as I drove past the showgrounds. We've also now got a dog over the road. They're balking at me. But anyway, Mac's not phased because she's deaf. There we go, I'm charging down here. We've got the Dubbo show over there. Could hear some music before, but that seems to have stopped. Right, this is new. Yep. Hopefully that's normal. So it didn't actually tell me when I was done charging to reach my next destination, but we're 120 k's away from Parks and it wants me to stop there. Assuming it's because it wants me to go to Wagga, which is, Parks to Wagga is an absolute mission. So probably go to Parks now. We will make it. It's 120 k's away. We've got 300 k's of range, so might hit the road now and probably have a snooze in Parks. Probably just truck for like another hour and a half, whatever. Get to Parks, charge up, and then have a snooze there. So was a little bit tired before I got here, but sitting here for a little bit sort of recharged me a fair bit. So keep on trucking. made it to Parks. Very dark, but pretty good drive. Nothing really on the way, no animals or anything really, so was pretty lucky. I'll show you the energy. I hit pretty crappy energy because I just had plenty of like capacity, so I just did 110 the whole way just to get here faster. So we were predicted to get here with 35%, we got here with 34. We used 168 watt hours per kilometre, and we got here. It was actually funny because it's all green nearly the whole way, and I was doing 110 the whole way, so who knows? Who knows? I still do not understand this shit. Anyway, I was going to plug in. Looks like we've got to charge for a while because we're 3 hours away from Wagga. So I'm going to give a good charge, and then I'm going to have a sleep somewhere. So this will probably be the last thing you see from me until morning or something, or until like 3 a.m. or something when I wake up. Alrighty guys, so it's morning, it's 5 a.m. now. Had a bit of a sleep. I charged at Parks, at the Parks Leagues Club, and kept driving till Forbes. Got through Forbes and then pulled over in a truck stop, and had about a 5-hour sleep. Started defogging the window and everything, gave Merc breakfast and went for a little walk and a poo and stuff. And hit the road and then realised that I didn't film anything. So I pulled over again because my windscreen's still a little bit foggy anyway. So just pulled over at the next truck stop, about 2 k's down the road. So I'll show you the energy consumption while parked and stuff. I didn't leave it in camp mode overnight. I just shut it right down. It was about 8 degrees, so pretty not too bad. In the car, I had a jumper on. Merc had her jumper on and stuff, so all good there. The car obviously fogged up a fair bit because it didn't have the AC running, but the consumption since last charge is 158 watt hours per kilometre. I'll show you now. So since last charge, yeah, I've done 60 k's since Parks, 158 watt hours per kilometre, but the consumption, that was obviously when I was defogging the window at the last truck stop. So yeah, like it was cruising along pretty good. Obviously used a lot this morning to try and defog the window and stuff. Still a little bit foggy. You can kind of kind of see it. Anyway, yeah, so cruising along. Just gonna get stuck into it this morning. Probably, it says we're going on Wagga. It says we're gonna get there 13%, but we have a decent overlap of 360 kilometers and it's 220 kilometers away, but we'll see what that looks like once we actually get there. Being absolutely freezing, it's 5 degrees, so battery usage does go up a little bit. I was gonna sit on 100 instead of 110 just to ensure that I do actually get there, because there looks to be nothing else along the way, charger wise. Like there's back where we came from, Wagga, maybe like, you know, going that way we might get some, but don't really feel like going that way. So let's see how we go. Alrighty, so I'm 18 minutes from Wagga. I just started getting the snoozies. So I just had to pull over, take Merc for a bit of a walk, stretch the legs. So yeah, we're 10%, we'll get to Wagga at 10%, 20 Ks away. We've got 17% now, which is 89 Ks. So we're cutting it pretty tight, but I was actually doing 110 the whole way. Said I was gonna cruise at 100, but I thought hammer down, why not? So we actually, you can see the difference there. That's when you're doing 100 and that's when you're doing 110. So it is a bit of a difference. So trips, so I think since last charge I was doing 100. Since current drive I was doing 110 most of that. So bit of a difference there. It's probably more than that actually, but anyway, we'll plug in at Wagga in about 20 minutes, get some breakfast and hit the road again. I keep saying that, but I don't know what else to say, so judge me all you want. Anyway, alright, made it to Wagga. It's a fucking stupid car park, but figured it out. Made it here at 175 watt hours, using 188 this morning since my last stop when I had little snoozies. Is what it is. Let's plug in and go for it. Alright, so got enough to continue the trip, but we're only at 60% and it reckons we'll get to Wangaratta at 10%. So just going to keep a little bit more juice going. It's just freaking too cold to be chilling out here. It's 5 degrees. I'm a Queenslander now, so I'm bloody freezing my balls off. So just going to chill here for probably another 5-10 minutes and then off to Hungry Jack's for some breakfast. Oh yeah. Bloody pulled up to Hungry Jack's. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't take orders, all our screens are down. I drove freaking 4Ks out of my way just to go there, you dogs. Anyway, looks like no breakfast today.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine. When you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Well, made it to Wangaratta, the final stop. Never seen this. Out of order 1D. Yes, I know you're losing your shit. 1D is that one. So we're good. About to plug in. Now, it said I was going to get here with like 28% charge, I think. 31, I only just dropped from 32, because look at this. Crushed it. Crushed it, boys. Anyway, I don't know why it was so good. The consumption was pretty good. But if you look at this, 147 watt hours per kilometre. My average over the last 16,000 Ks is lower than that, so I don't know why it thought that was so good. I suppose it was better than the rest of it, but that was a bit of Hume at 110 and a bit of back roads at 100. So anyway, gonna fang in some charge and that'll get me to my destination. Kester, please blur that. Probably try and arrive at my sister's with about 20% charge, and that will have me with enough juice to get me to either Eastland or to the Jolt charger in Bayswater.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Both of which are free. So basically once I'm there, I just live off all the free charges, and because I'm a scab. Anyway, let's plug in and then we'll hit the road again.
Time to hit the road.
Not really much going on here. I reckon, Mac. Do a poop off the edge. Alright, so I'm at my sister's house now in Chenside Park. So the final last leg of that was pretty good on fuel, or energy I suppose. So I used 127 watt hours per kilometre. So that last little bit always must be coming downhill on the Hume or whatever, but it's awesome on energy. Must be the smooth roads as well, but yeah, the final leg. So I don't have a total for the trip because I forgot to reset it, but we arrived on 17%. So I suppose probably final thoughts for going the inland route. It's doable. It's absolutely doable. I used only one non-Tesla charger. I probably could have gone without it. I could have gone from Toowoomba to Narrabri if I just charged a little further. I think I stopped at 80%. I would have probably made it if I went back to 100. Is that really worth it? I don't know. Probably not. Just using the other branded ones, it's really not a big deal. I've got accounts with most of them anyway, so it really does not faze me at all. I just logged into my account, hit go and plugged in, so no huge deal. What else? Yeah, so would I go that way again? Absolutely not. It's so much nicer going the coastal way. So much more peace of mind knowing that every pretty much hour there is a Tesla charger that I can stop at. Probably every 2 hours even, if worst case. Whereas that way there was like some 300-400k stretches that I needed to do. Probably would not go that way again. Some of the roads were nicer. It was good for a change, but yeah, I'm absolutely not going to do that. A habit of going that way. Going the coastal way is just so much nicer, so much faster. It just seems faster. I left my house at probably 8:30, got here at 2 p.m. I normally will get here about 11 a.m. if I go the coastal way. Just seems to be faster. Going this way, you kind of, once you get to like Parks and Forbes, you have to then zoom across to charge at, I can't even remember now. Wagga. Yeah, you have to go across to Wagga and then back again to cross the border. So, whereas when you come down the coastal way, it just seems a lot more direct. So anyway, I'll catch you on the next video, guys. What I'll probably do for the trip home, I won't vlog any of it. I'll just set up a camera on the sunroof maybe and just do one time lapse of the entire drive and upload that as like a Melbourne to Brisbane entire drive, including all the stops. Obviously edit out the sleeps and long stays at charges or whatever, but yeah, do it all as like one straight shot in the one video. That might be cool. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next video.